What's going on, Taylor?
What's going on, Brandon?
Doing good, doing good. Look at that, man. We got a brand new, spanking new overlay, more professional, more clean looking. Trying to give the people, more of a better experience when watching it. Not like we're doing a Barney television show.
Trying to give them what they deserve.
Yeah. Before it was, it was all right before, but digging the new look. The booth is a new look. If you guys haven't seen the overlays yet, this is it. If you guys don't know, this is it. If you guys don't know, we were supposed to do a interview with Cameron Jackson of Florida. Yeah, he got a little busy, which is fine. We are postponing that interview to a later date. We've already worked it out. We don't have a set date yet, but he is still wanting to do the interview. So that is the way of life. Things happen. We will still continue on with our regular show that you guys know and love. I think, Taylor, you said you had a lot of people asking about that interview, too.
Yeah, had a few people hitting me up.
But just let them know that it will be a later date. Next week, we are interviewing, what do you guys name? I know he plays for Maryland.
Yeah, I'll have to get the information and I'll put it up on our Twitter.
All right, yeah.
Have to get everything from Daron.
So we are, one of our mutual friends, Daron, he knows a couple football players, and we got an interview next week with a Maryland player. Get more details on that. So stay tuned if you follow us on Twitter. We'll post it on Facebook as well on our personal social media post. So let's get right into it, Taylor. The national championship game was fantastic.
Yeah, that's one way to describe it, sure.
It was a very close game. The Horned Frogs put up a good fight.
It was a nail biter.
Did not know who was going to win until the very end. 65-7. That is as close as you can get.
Yeah, I mean, I was, going into halftime, it was about as close as you can get into a national championship game. I was really sitting there like, man, this could go either way. I'm glad I didn't put money on either team because, my anxiety and stress would just be,
well, you think that's
going everywhere.
Dude bet $3.2 million on the TCU Horned Frogs to win it.
Are you talking about Mattress Mac?
I believe so. Man, putting like $3 million on TCU.
To be fair, I think he won like $5 million on the Astros winning the World Series, so he had money to spare.
Yeah, I guess if that's he's just throwing around. I guess if you got it like that, you can just throw it around.
If you got it like that, that's like me and you like saying, "Man, I'm going to put 100 on the game." Yeah. That's like what
that's the equivalent of us having it like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to put 100 on the game. He's like, I'm going to put $3 million on it.
So the question that's been going around is, did the committee get it wrong by putting TCU in? Now, they did beat Michigan, but people are saying Alabama would have been a better fight against Georgia. And some say Ohio State was the best team in the college football championship that just lost by a field goal. So let me get your opinions on that. Did the committee get it wrong, and should they kind of advise on how, or revise on how they look at the rankings here?
I'm going to say no, they did not get it wrong because TCU did come out and beat Michigan, who was
handily.
Everybody thought Michigan was going to beat TCU. So they earned their spot into the national championship game. The way that it's set up now, I mean, you have two losses. You're not going to make it. Yeah. So Alabama was automatically out. You can't put a 2-loss team into the top 4 and put them into the playoffs. That's just, it hasn't been. I don't think it's happened before. Mm-hmm. I don't see it happening again. I mean, if you lost, especially that late into the season, you kind of wrapped a bow on your own present, and it was not the playoffs inside that box.
Yeah.
Do I think Alabama would have put up a better fight? Absolutely.
100% would have put up a better fight.
Do I think Ohio State would have put up a better fight?
They did, technically.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I think Ohio State should have been in, but, that's how football works. It's any given Saturday, any given Sunday. That's how the game of football works. And unfortunately, Ohio State missed the championship game by this much.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it works. So, unfortunately for TCU, I think the pressure of this game and having millions of people actually watching them and, putting money on the game, you have all these people probably hitting them up, doing all these interviews before the game and everything. It's a lot of pressure compared to a regular Saturday game. It's kind of like, "Oh, how you feel about the game?" It's I think we got a good chance. It's like, okay, then they're gone. But
Yeah.
they had like a whole week of just nonstop interviews, questions,
Yeah, did you
people
see
hitting them up.
the interview with Stetson where he said they were underdogs and everybody was counting Georgia out even though they were the they were the favorites to
Nobody
win the
counted them
game.
out once. Nobody counted them out. Even at the beginning of the season, everybody said, we're pretty sure Georgia's going to repeat.
Yeah.
That was said at the
That
beginning of the
was
season.
yeah. We
It
got
was
people
it was
saying that
pretty clear.
TCU are frauds and very unfortunate for TCU got doo-dooed on. Yeah.
Yes, unfortunately, they were frauds. They did skate by, but that's how it works. They won the games they needed to win. They got in, and unfortunately, they got embarrassed. I mean, they got pantsed in front
Yeah.
of millions of people
Yeah.
yesterday, unfortunately. But good for the Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, I think they're the team to beat right now. There's no question about it.
Unfortunately, they are the team to beat. I think they're in the new legacy. They're they took over the Alabama spot. I think Alabama is no longer that kind of gym. I mean, they're still that gym, but I
Yeah.
think Georgia is the team that everyone's gonna be going after. Saying instead of saying we want Bama, everyone's saying we want Georgia. In
Well,
my personal opinion.
it's going to be interesting this upcoming season because Bennett's gone. Well, I don't know. He might play until like 2042. I don't know. I mean, it's like what 25 right now.
Yeah. Stetson Bennett. I think he
Yeah.
signed on to Athens Honda. Well, come on. All right, we'll do a little ad here. Come on down to Athens Honda for your new Honda Accord. Hi, I'm Stetson Bennett, and if you want in it, call me.
So, look,
I appreciate it.
I don't think Bennett's going to amount to anything in the NFL. Unfortunately, he's going to be one of those really good college quarterbacks that just doesn't amount to anything in the NFL. Unfortunately.
No, I agree. So Shannon Sharp put this today on Undisputed. Said he's gonna get a shot. He's Stetson Bennett's 5'11", so I didn't even know that, but he's gonna get a shot. And Shannon thinks he's gonna go undrafted. I think he'll go with maybe 5th, 6th, 7th round. I think there's a team that was gonna pull the trigger in his potential backup. I don't think he doesn't have the arm strength. And he made a good point. Shannon Sharp was like the last person to do this in the modern era was A.J. McCarron, who did not pan out in the NFL, and a couple players who did it. I think there was one from Nebraska, won back-to-back national championships, did not pan out in the NFL. So it's not uncommon to see back-to-back national championship quarterback not pan out in the NFL, just like it's not often or hard to see some Heisman winners don't usually pan out in the NFL.
Unfortunately for him, that's just the way it's going to go.
Yeah, it's just the way it is.
And to Brian in the chat, I am in the back cave. Where's Rachel? We are sitting up here in the back cave, up in the attic.
Yeah.
Right now. So lighting situations aren't the best up here.
Man, they got the nice little blue light behind you though.
Yeah, we can change it though. I mean, we've got everything. I mean,
well, it just looks like you're like a late night host.
Yeah, we can go green.
Nah, the blue's a nice warm kind of calming color.
If this works, I think we're stuck on green. I hope you guys like green.
My dad said Stetson could be good. Yeah, there's a lot of could be's in the NFL. Anakin.
We can go Oklahoma red.
No, that's more like looks like you're on. You're Darth Vader, and you're sitting there like trying to get someone to join the dark side over there.
Yeah, we'll go with blue here.
Yeah. There you go. I got him a 2nd round, 5th pick. In the 2nd round.
Stetson could be good. All right, let's see how he does on the Colts.
Yeah. New Colts quarterback Stetson Bennett loses the starting job to the janitor after week 1.
All he needs is a cigar, a small glass of liquor, and he'll be a late night host. Welcome to the Bennett Show.
Yeah. No, I do agree. I think Stetson's going late. Shannon says he's probably going to go undrafted. I think with the 2 championships, it's going to get him on a squad for cheap, and who knows, he could be a hidden gem. I don't see it in Stetson, just like I don't see it in Will Levis. Mel Kiper said that Will Levis is the best quarterback in this freaking draft over Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud and whatnot, and I think I'd take Stetson over Will Levis. I'm just going to be honest, all right?
I would take Stetson over Will Levis, and I will say this. Shannon's take that he's not going to be drafted and he's going to go undrafted is I think that's more of a I want to be in the headlines. I don't. He doesn't need to say stuff like that to be in the headlines,
Yeah.
but that's what that was. He's a two-time national championship winner on the Georgia Bulldogs, and he's their starting quarterback. He's going to get drafted.
Yeah.
That's just an automatic. Whether what round he gets drafted in, that's up for debate.
Yeah.
But
And
the
what
fact
team?
of is he going to get drafted, that's not up for debate. He's going to get
No.
drafted. He's going to go probably in like the second or third round, maybe even the fourth, but he's not going to be a first-round draft pick. If he is, whatever team takes him, fire your GM, and whoever takes Will Levis, fire your GM also.
Stetson could be Purdy. No, so the thing with Purdy was a lot more polished of a passer coming out of college. So even though he was Mr. Irrelevant and now he's Mr. Relevant, leading the 49ers to the playoffs, he was a lot more progressed in his passing and his, reading of the defense. With the thing with Stetson is, one, he doesn't throw that far. I think he's like a 70-yard average.
Check down passer.
Good check down passer. But he's got the ultimate team. He didn't really play anybody this year outside of Ohio State and Alabama, and he didn't look great in those games. TCU, the talent level between TCU and Georgia is astronomical. All right.
Oh yeah.
You got 5-star after 5. It got to the point where TCU was getting beat by the third-string five-star Georgia players. Like there was 14 minutes left, and they were taking their starters out. So,
no, I agree.
The talent difference is like astronomical. So Stetson definitely got carried by a phenomenal team, especially with Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington too.
Brock Bowers was the best player on that field.
Yeah,
100%.
He is the best player in maybe all of college football next year. Darnell Washington is going to go the first round, so he didn't. I don't think Darnell played, but
Brian, I don't know if Brandon wants to jump into that, but the NFL being scripted question, we can talk about that one in our NFL segment coming up here soon. And then Tampa 31, Cowgirls 21. I agree. Probably not going to happen, but I agree.
That's what we hope for. Yeah. So so to go to another quarterback, like we talked about what round Stetson might go in, if any round. Max Duggan, he didn't start. He got benched at the beginning of the year, takes back over due to injury, has a phenomenal year, and chokes in the national championship game. What round do you see realistically Max going in?
I could see him going undrafted. If we want to talk about people who are going to get drafted and not get drafted, he has a higher chance of going undrafted, in my opinion. He is a Taysom Hill type of quarterback. He's got the grit. He's got the heart. He's got the passion. Grit. But he's not the quarterback anybody's going to be like, that's our franchise quarterback. He's going to take us to a Super Bowl. He doesn't have that talent. I think it was the guys around him and his offensive line that really pushed TCU to where they got.
Quentin Johnson was a monster.
And I don't want to take anything away from him, because for him being benched for somebody else and then coming in after an injury and being able to get on the list for a Heisman Trophy, making the national championship game, it's nothing to take slight. But unfortunately, he just doesn't have the it factor to be able to get drafted high or drafted at all. And people may say, you're wrong. He went to the national championship game. If Bennett's going to get drafted because he won 2, then he should at least get drafted low because he went to 1. He just doesn't have it.
No. And I agree.
I can see him going undrafted.
I agree. I think if he does, it's probably going to be round 7. Maybe he's this year's Mr. Irrelevant, who knows. But I could see round 7. He just doesn't have any qualities that really stick out. Not a huge arm. Yes, he led like you said, he led TCU to the national championship game. But Quentin Johnson was a monster at wide receiver this year. First round lock wide receiver, and gonna make whatever team he goes to in the first round a better team, probably automatically. And I say that, like I said it on the last show, I say that in reserve because I have a dark history with TCU receivers. If you can see the Philadelphia Eagles helmet behind me with Jalen Reagor. So, but I think Quentin Johnson is going to break that TCU curse. I think that he is, he's just another level of player. And to be honest, again, like I said last show, Quentin Johnson is my wide receiver 1 for this draft class. I know you got Addison and I think it's Ibaka for Jackson for Ohio State. But to me, Quentin Johnson is kind of both those players put together. So that's who I would go for. So with Max, I think he's going undrafted. Yeah. I think Max is going to go undrafted. All right. I think that's pretty much all we have for college, guys. If you guys don't know, we're getting ready to go to the NFL. If you guys don't know, we are going to start releasing our top 5 prospects per position, and it does not mean we're done with the college series. We might do some, predictions next year of, who's the top 25 or who's going to be the top teams in each division. We're going to roll ball it here. We're going to go with what we can, go with the flow.
We're also going to be trying to get as many interviews with college football athletes whenever we can. We got one slated for next week. Hopefully we can get Mr. Jordan on here at another time because
Cameron Jackson.
Jackson, and then we got some other potential interviewees that we can get on here. Just got to get the timing right and the schedules all figured out. So we'll still have some more stuff for the college portion of this podcast, so be on the lookout.
Yeah, for sure. And this is a reminder, guys, if you're not already following, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel before we go into the NFL section. And if you got Spotify and you want to listen to us on the road, make sure you hit us a follow on Spotify. Just look up The Booth with Tailor and Brandon on Spotify and or YouTube. Obviously, if you're here now, make sure you hit the subscription button and turn on the bell notification. We are live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, Taylor. Now we got the little ad going out. All right. So first of all, before we get into anything, did you see the D-Hop news?
I did see the D-Hop news.
DeAndre Hopkins is on the trade block. So if you're an NFL team looking for a wide receiver, he's out there. That's pretty big for the Cardinals just to get rid of their best receiver when they're looking for a new head coach. They got Kyler.
They've never been able to. They have yet to have the chance to even utilize him. That's the wild thing.
Yeah.
So for this season, he was suspended, his injuries and everything. So they've never really had like a full proper season to really utilize him.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I were the Cardinals, I wouldn't be putting him up for trade. I mean, he is one of the best wide receivers still.
Yeah. Even in the games he came in, he was electric. So
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand what's going on over there. I know Elling's saying they're going to clean house, but at what cost? I mean, D-Hop, Kyler. Yeah. I mean, you have a really good quarterback. You have a really good wide receiver, and then you have some okay wide receivers. You got Brown, and then you've got, Moore and D-Hop. I mean, you've got a pretty solid wide receiving core.
Yeah.
I just don't see why you would dismantle everything just because you get rid of your head coach. Get somebody in there that can utilize the pieces you already have. See how that goes, then make your adjustments next season. If it's like, all right, we just have to change everything, get rid of D-Hop, get rid of Kyler, whatever it is.
Well, they're not getting rid of Kyler. They've already said Kyler plays a big, big part, and he's going to have the final say on who they get as head coach. How much power do you have to give a player to the fact that he gets to pick his next head coach? He gets to pick it. Like that, he has more power than the GM. That's nuts. Like, hey, we interviewed like these 5 people. Who do you want as your head coach? And you're like, what? I've never seen that.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me because I firmly believe the deep rooted problem of that team is Kyler Murray. I think his attitude, his unwillingness to actually study film, and all this stuff coming out about him playing Call of Duty really late, and that's all he wants to do is play Call of Duty and video games. He's a part of FaZe, so he's more integrated in his personal life than he is with football. I feel like he's the root problem. So having that guy
have the
final say.
Kyler Murray is the biggest crybaby, the smallest crybaby that there could ever be in the NFL. Like, because your coaches want you to focus on football and not play Call of Duty. And I guess I play Call of Duty. We play Call of Duty every night. But it's got to be the point where it should not have to be in your NFL contract as a quarterback, the most important position, to read and watch film. and instead of gaming. Like that should not be it. And I understand, he's in FaZe Clan, but screw all that. You are the face of a franchise, and the fact that, and again, the Cardinals are the owner, the GM. They gotta be going drinking on some bourbon, because there's no way I'm giving my quarterback that much power to pick the team's next head coach, not just his, but the team's next head coach.
Man's got some dirt on somebody over there with the Cardinals. Look, if I'm making millions of dollars per year from my whatever job I'm doing, and they're like, look, you got to cut Call of Duty out. It's just causing too much issues. Cut the face stuff. I'm like, all right, cool. It's dropped.
Yeah.
Like, you're paying me millions of dollars. Whatever you say, I'm doing. But it's just a different mindset. He might be a little more entitled than others because he is a really talented quarterback. And he has the capabilities to take a team to the Super Bowl if he has the right pieces. So he has that entitlement. So him saying, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. You guys fix your stuff.
Yeah.
And then come back to me with your decisions, and I'll let you know. That's that entitlement factor.
And that's why Kyler Murray will never be great. That's why Kyler Murray will never be a great quarterback. Because you know what separates the Tom Brady's, the Peyton Mannings, the Drew Breeses, the Carson Wentz. I'm kidding on that one. From the rest of the league and the rest of their era is that they're willing to do whatever it takes to make sure their team is on top. Kyler doesn't. He's all about him. He's all about him. And me and my dad were watching the Pat McAfee show earlier, and Deion Sanders said, they asked him, why would you ever coach in the NFL? And he said, no, because I'd have a roster of about 20 people, because in the NFL, the only thing people care about is themselves and money. That's why he coaches college, because he wants people who want to play the game because they love the game.
That's why I love college football more than the NFL, based on the passion that the players have, because they want to make it to the NFL. They want to get that money. But once you get to the NFL and you get that first check and you start making millions of dollars after a couple of years, you're like, all right, I'm here. I don't have anything left to prove. I know my worth. These teams know my worth, and I've given it everything I have. So they kind of take a step back, in my opinion. Yeah. I still enjoy the NFL.
I think the talent's way better than college. The Super Bowl is not going to be blown out like it was a championship game. No. The talent difference in college is too great. Yeah, unless Matt Ryan's playing. Yeah. Hey, now Carson's a franchise QB.
I want to take a step back here, and I want to go to Brian's comment about the NFL being scripted, because this has been something that's been circulating on social media, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, you name it, it's on there. People are saying that it's rigged. The season was probably the biggest example of the possibility of it being rigged with everything that's happened.
Yeah.
I don't believe that it is necessarily rigged or scripted, but I will say I think that there are certain players in the NFL that give their opinion, which is more of a command rather than an opinion, to referees, and they ref the games a certain way to benefit a team. I think that is a possibility, because it's going to be hard to take an entire league and say, hey, this is your script for the week, or this is your script for the season. Now, when you get this, don't say anything about it. If you do, you'll get blackballed, whatever. It's hard to keep that many people quiet about something like this. But when you have a smaller group of referees, because I don't think I can't remember the total number of NFL referees, but they're also part-time. They're not like full-time employees of the NFL. Yeah. I think that's the only way that you can really script and or influence a game is through the referees, by kind of giving them what you want to see happen. And then they kind of ref the game the way that they see fit to make that outcome happen. But I don't really think that is a thing. I think it's just there's too much that could go against it for it to happen this long.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. Not only that, I think that at the end of the day, while money is important, I think every NFL player is competitive. And, I'm competitive by nature. You are. No one likes to lose. So no one's going to sit there and go, hey, I'll take $1 million and take the L. Yeah. Especially because the goal is a Super Bowl ring. But this is an interesting topic, because the Larry Johnson, former great Chiefs running back, Kansas City Chiefs, he did come out with a video saying that the NFL was rigged. and that the Kansas City Chiefs are out to get him, and people are calling, he said, people are calling me crazy, but the NFL is rigged. They just don't want to talk about it and stuff like that. So
CT.
there is smoke, and sometimes where there's smoke, there is fire. So it's something to think about, but I don't think that there is. Again, I don't think there is fire there. I think that it's just.
I think there's an influence somewhere within the NFL, but there's not a full-on script rigged like collusion type of thing going on. And I think it's just certain people influence certain people to try and sway certain games a certain way. That would be as far as I would take it. I don't think you could convince me enough to say that the NFL is rigged.
And if you guys don't know, it would not be illegal for the NFL to rig games. So there's another smoke to it because
they're an entertainment business.
They are an entertainment business, not a sports business. So them being listed in entertainment, just like the WWE, it could be rigged. So hey, if you think it's rigged, let us know. Who knows?
Eagles getting knocked out first round. That would be hard to do since they have a first round bye.
Yeah.
So I'll put 20 on it that they don't.
I think 20, dude. I'll put $1,000 that the Eagles make it past the first round. Put my life savings on it.
Yeah.
Put my marriage on it. I'm kidding.
Wow, Aaron. Come get your man.
Well, we already went past the first round, so my marriage is safe. We're good.
I don't know. That comment may have just.
All right. So we were talking. Yeah. On the next topic, we were talking about the Cardinals and the potential coaching changes and all that, and how Kyler has such a big grasp of the kahunas of the Cardinals management. So there's a couple teams with head coaching vacancies, and we're just gonna kind of fill in these vacancies with who we think would be the best fit. So we're gonna start with the Cardinals. I'll give my personal opinion. I think it's gonna be Byron Leftwich. I think you need a quarterback who's played in the league, who played well in the league, who can kind of rein in that Kyler Murray and kind of teach him how to be a pro's pro. I think the Cardinals like offensive-minded coaches. Byron Leftwich is obviously the offensive coordinator of Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And so, to me, I think the Byron Leftwich would be a great fit for the Cardinals.
I will say, if that happened, I wouldn't be upset. I think that would be a perfect fit. I think he's a good fit anywhere he goes. He is very deserving of a job. But for the Cardinals, I would put Jim Harbaugh or Sean Payton. Sean Payton's a tough one because I know that he's still under contract with the Saints, and he has to pretty much get traded and bought out in order for him to.
Which the Saints said they're open to do. So
yeah, the Saints have been giving permission to teams to come in and talk to him because I don't think the Saints want to keep paying the man to not coach. I think they're kind of like, yeah, somebody please come take this off of our plate. Yeah. Whatever, we just want to be done with it if he's not going to coach. So I would say Sean Payton or Jim Harbaugh. I know Harbaugh was I think he reached out to the Panthers or vice versa. Panthers reached out to him.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's more of a ploy for him to get more money from Michigan. And I say that because Blake Corum decided to come back for another season.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he would come back and not
Harbaugh's
hit the
gone.
Transfer. Yeah. If I was a running back of his caliber, I'd be like, oh, my coach is dipping out. We're going to have a new one. I'm going somewhere that's established with a head coach that's staying.
Yeah.
So that kind of gives me an indication that maybe Jim Harbaugh's not going to go to the NFL, and he's just looking to get a bigger contract from Michigan. Like, hey, we want to keep you. We'll give you a couple extra million. So one of those two I think would be a great fit.
I mean, the thing with Harbaugh is, it's like when he left the 49ers. He said, I'm not going into college. I'm sticking with the 49ers. A week later, hi, guys, I'm the new head coach at the University of Michigan. They're like, what? So
money talks, man.
Yeah, money talks, and Jim Harbaugh walks. And I think that's what's going to happen. I know Blake Corum did decide to return back to college, but I think, again, money talks. And the Colts have a lot of money. And he played for the Colts way back when, I believe in the 80s or 90s. And I think that'd be a good fit. And then they go on and draft C.J. Stroud in the first round. Michigan coach, Ohio State quarterback. It's like a very toxic relationship that just finds its way too. But I do think, to me, I think Jim Harbaugh goes to the Colts. I do think he leaves Michigan for that Colts job.
I could see that. I mean, the NFL is a very lucrative. I mean, that's the top of the top. I know he was already in the NFL, but it's a different environment, and winning a Super Bowl, I believe, is like 10 times better than winning a national championship. National championships, like, we did it,
Yeah.
But it's much easier to repeat as a school, like Georgia. I mean,
Yeah.
Georgia and Alabama have
5
done
stars.
it.
You just got to recruit.
Yeah. But in the NFL, it's not like, we got a new team and I get to go out and recruit all these 5 stars and throw money at them. I'm stuck with what I'm stuck with, and I have to work with these teams. So it holds a little more honor when you win a Super Bowl. So I could see him going to the NFL, but I don't know. We'll see. Taylor, do you think the Eagles should or will re-sign Sanders? Do I think they will? No. Do I think they should? Yes.
Yeah, I don't think the Eagles are going to re-sign Sanders. I think they're going to draft Jamari Gibbs, or they're going to get Bijan Robinson to kind of fill that role.
But I do think they should. But no, they will not.
So who do you think would be, like, or if you don't have a name in particular, do you think the Colts go offensive?
They have to.
Offensive
they have
coach
to.
or defensive coach?
They have to go offensive. That offense is an absolute mess. I don't know who's going to be their quarterback, but they need to get that figured out.
Joe Namath has come out of retirement and said he's signing with the Indianapolis Colts.
I mean, that'd be better than Matt Ryan. I mean, they're in just a terrible spot right now. I think your comment about Harbaugh being the Colts head coach would fit. I mean, he's already part of the franchise. He's an offensive minded coach. They get in a decent quarterback. He could really turn that offense around, but 100% has to be an offensive-minded coach because they are a disaster.
Yeah, and the Colts did come out, the GM, and a couple people close to the Colts said that the Colts are trying to actually move up in the draft to select one of the quarterbacks. So they're actually potentially trading for that first pick in the draft. They've reportedly been in love against C.J. Stroud, but they also really love Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young is their number one target. So you could see Bryce Young in a Colts uniform. So
it'd be a good fit. And don't forget, Baker Mayfield is not going to re-sign with the Rams this upcoming, and he is proven to be a starter. And the Colts do pick up people who probably are on that fine line of being benched and starting. So Baker Mayfield might get a shot at the Colts. Who knows?
And then we go down to the Panthers. Jim Harbaugh did reach out to Jim Harbaugh. Speaking of the Colts, former Colts head coach Frank Wright got an interview with the Panthers, and to me, that's my personal best fit for the Panthers outside of their head coach, their interim head coach that they have now that the players are advocating for.
I would go with Brian Flores because they need a tank.
But
I don't know. I don't know who would be a good fit. That team's confusing to me because you get rid of your head coach, you get rid of your best running back, you drop Baker Mayfield, and then they start winning games with an interim head coach.
That's why I think that he keeps his job because, I mean, they did turn it around even though they had, like, bones of a team.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say give him an opportunity, at least a season. I mean, if we can give Jeff Saturday a chance at being a coach, and this man's able to take the Panthers that were just dismantled and win games with them, give him a shot.
Yeah. I would agree. I mean, the players are advocating for it too. They love him, and that's a good sign. So I do think that the Panthers will draft a quarterback in the first round this year. I know they had Matt Corral. Don't know if he's the guy. I would like to see Matt Corral get some snaps, but I don't know if he is that guy. And I think the next head coach or the interim head coach is probably going to want to draft their piece. Because it just tends to happen when you don't have a centerpiece that's, you don't draft a quarterback when you have Tom Brady or Aaron, if you're Aaron Rodgers, you draft the quarterback in the first round instead of a wide receiver, and you sit there and go wonder why our
Well,
wide receivers can't catch. But
the thing is, you said that you don't draft a quarterback when you have somebody like Tom Brady, but they did draft a quarterback. They've drafted 2 with Tom Brady so far. And then they're on slate to draft another one. There a lot of predictions are saying AR-15 to the Buccaneers. So that would be 4 quarterbacks in total, or 3.
they
And
got
that'd be
Kyle
3.
Trask, and they got Jimmy
Which
G. So
which Jimmy G. What?
when he was on the Patriots, they drafted Jimmy G as his replacement.
They have what is that dude's name that they just drafted? So they got Kyle Trask, and I cannot think of the other dude's name, but they just picked him up, or not picked him up, but drafted him. I'll figure it out later. But anyways, and they're slated to get AR-15, so it's odd to me.
Yeah.
Anyways, Broncos.
Sean Payton.
I would say Sean Payton or left wedge.
Yeah.
He needs Russell Wilson needs somebody to reel him in. He needs somebody that's stern and somebody that's going to be able to get him out of his funk. Because Russell Wilson is a good quarterback. He's not a top 5 quarterback. He's not a somebody that you're like, that's the best quarterback to ever play the game. But he is a good quarterback, and he proved it in Seattle. Whether it was because of the system he was in, he's still a good quarterback. He just needs somebody to, knock that, I'm not good enough mentality out of him, because I think it was he got this huge lump sum of money and was like, I'm not worthy of this. 200 million plus.
I'm not worthy.
Yeah, that's a lot of money, and that's a lot of pressure to put on him. He's going to come in here, he's going to change this franchise back around. We're going to win a Super Bowl this year.
Hackett was a horrible head coach as well. Hackett was, when they hired Hackett in the offseason, I was like, yeah, the Broncos are going to suck this season. Everyone was like, no, even if they have, Hackett's a decent head coach, and they got Russell Wilson. They're going to the playoffs at the very least. And I was like, no, Hackett can't hack it. And that was very apparent. So I don't know what the Broncos were looking at, but I agree. Sean Payton or Brian Leftwich would be good fits. I like Sean Payton simply because, one,
he coached Drew Brees.
Yeah, he's coached Drew Brees, and he knows how to kind of rein in the quarterback. Get his eyes back underneath him. A lot of people forget that Drew Brees, when he left San Diego, he wasn't that good. He was all right. He was a good quarterback, decent. But when he teamed up with Sean Payton in New Orleans, where he took his career to the next level. And we've seen Russell Wilson play good in the past. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback and stuff like that. So I think Sean Payton would be a good fit, and I think he is eyeing the Broncos' job. So I think pretty sure someone interviewed Sean Payton, and it's kind of one of the spots that he kind of mentioned. So I could see Sean Payton with the Broncos, and then again Brian Leftwich. I do think the Broncos need a offensive-minded coach again, and we're going to do a lot of these offensive-minded coaches so far. All these guys have been offensive-minded.
Yeah, well, the Broncos' defense is solid. They don't need help on that end of the football, because they are a great defense. And Sean Payton, it's really hard to figure out where Sean Payton's going to go, because he's set. It's not a I need this job, somebody hire me. It's a, do I want to coach? It's up to me. It's not up to anybody else, So he's going to need a team that is pretty much set up to go to the Super Bowl and is willing to pay an insane amount of money. Yeah. So that's really what it comes down to. I don't know how much money the Broncos have, especially after dumping the dump truck on Russell Wilson. Yeah. So I'm not sure what they've got. And plus, I still think they have to pay, what's his name, Hackett or whatever terrible head coach he was. Yeah. So I don't know what their financial situation is. Yeah. Texans.
The Texans, I think they're going defense. They just seem to love defensive-minded head coaches. So I'm going to go with they are interviewing Jonathan Gannon from the Philadelphia Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles defensive coordinator. I'm going to go with, though, D'Amico Ryans. He means a lot to that franchise. Obviously, he was a Pro Bowl linebacker for them. And he's now the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers, who have the league's best defense, ranked number 1. So I think he's going to be a player's coach. He's got the best defense in the league right now with the 49ers. And I think he'll probably be the best fit for the Houston Texans, in my opinion.
I think Lovie Smith should have had at least another year,
I
in
agree
my
on that
personal
one.
opinion,
I agree on that one.
to kind of. I think that was too early of a firing, personally. But so my pick for this is a couple of things have to happen. The first thing is he has to get fired from his current position, and they get hired on. So I'm going to go with Ron Rivera. I think his time with the Washington Commanders is coming to an end, and I think they're going to move on to somebody else. I don't know who they're going to move on to, but I think he's going to be an available coach this offseason, and I think that the Texans take him on as their head coach.
Yeah.
So,
We'll see.
and I think he's a good coach too. He's very personable, and he cares about his players.
Yeah.
And the Texans are pretty much at the bottom of the barrel in the NFL right now, so they really need somebody to come in and, like, you guys are a good team. Give them that spark. Like, hey, like, we have an opportunity. Like, we can come out here and make a change and play good football and actually be competitive. And I think Ron Rivera has that capability.
Yeah, the only counterpoint I would make to that Ron Rivera argument is that they did just fire their offensive coordinator, and so it kind of looks like they're gonna stick with with Ron Rivera at least for one more season. I think they like what they kind of saw in Sam Howell, and I don't know. I just think they like Ron Rivera too much. I think he gets one more season with the Commanders before they eventually let him go. Personally,
I hope that happens because I like Ron Rivera. I don't think Ron Rivera's tough. He's at most, I would say he's like 8-win a season coach.
Yeah.
Like that's what you can expect out of him. And if you get more, you're excited. If you get less, you're not totally disappointed. But when you get 8, that's what you expect with him.
Yeah.
But I do like him though.
Yeah. So, guys, those are our picks. I don't know. Someone said Ryan's makes total sense for the Texans. Let me see. You can catch up on the comments here. Frank Reich. Yeah, Frank Reich is a good coach. The Colts let him go. I think his time in Indy needed to be gone. But yeah, let us know, guys, who you guys think which team should get. Those are our personal opinions. We're gonna go before we go into the playoffs. Actually, this is also breaking news. Bears GM, when asked about Justin Fields, was not 100% on keeping Justin Fields, as he said. Basically, they're not going to commit to anything. He basically said they would really have to love somebody to move on from Justin Fields. But that, unfortunately, opens the door for a potential move, because when your GM is not saying we're 100% behind Justin, that's it. We don't care about what quarterbacks in this draft. They're going to end up seeing an AR-15 in person. They're going to go see C.J. Stroud in person. They're going to go see Bryce Young in person. And they're going to see these attributes that maybe Justin doesn't have. And I think they are going to fall in love with one of these quarterbacks, and I think they're going to take them in the top of their first round. And I think Justin will be on the move, be put on the trade block and be used to kind of to either move up or move around in the draft, personally.
I like Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is a great fit for that team. I'm not sure why the GM would really come out and be outspoken like that about Justin Fields. This was his second season, really just getting into his groove. Plus, the Bears just got the number 1 draft pick. So there is a potential that they're done with him and they pick up another quarterback, which would be a very Bears move. The Bears just have been floundering for a while now. Granted, they had a really bad season. I think they only won 3 games. But I think it would be stupid to move on from Fields. And I think it's also stupid to come out and say, I'm not 100% on our now franchise quarterback that we just drafted. It's a little premature. And
it is premature, but I can see why they might be. Not maybe they don't do it, but I can see why they may be looking. Justin Fields has not progressed as a passer. He is a great runner of the football. Obviously, he almost put up, let me see his stats here. He put up rushing yards. He put up 1,000 rushing yards this year and 2,000 passing yards, 2,400 passing yards. He went 17-11. he just, to me, he still struggles to read defenses. And while it's okay to rely on your legs, I'm not saying you can't do that. Obviously, you got Lamar Jackson. You don't want your franchise quarterback doing his first read and then taking off. And yes, he's scoring. He is scoring on some of these plays, but that's not set to win. You don't win that way. And while he was great at Ohio State, he's going to have to take a huge leap in year 3. And so the Bears, if they think he can take that huge step, I think they stick with Justin. But again, they might be willing to move on if one of these quarterbacks who are proven passers, C.J. Stroud's a great passer. C.J. Stroud's a better passer than Justin Fields. Bryce Young's a better passer than Justin Fields. So if they fall in love with one of these guys, I could see them moving on. I don't think it's smart to give up on your potential franchise quarterback in only year 2. But if you personally don't see that ability to overcome the deficiencies that he has, then it is time to move on. Sometimes it's better to, get new tires instead of hold on to the same tires you had for a couple years. So,
but in this case, the tread on these tires are still
relatively
fresh.
New.
So, yeah. So you know me, I'm a firm believer in giving people chances. I mean, especially in the NFL, the whole one and done thing just doesn't fly with me. Like one season and you're out. It just, especially when it's a high draft pick, and you wasted
Zach Wilson
at that point.
So what about Zach Wilson? Should the Jets get rid of Zach Wilson? High pick, freshly new. He's going to go into what year? Going to year 3, just like Justin.
Year 3.
Yeah. So is it time to move on from Zach Wilson?
In that case, yes.
So, but what's the difference?
And it's not just because
Zach.
The difference is
they have not shown, either of them have not shown better progressions of passers. The only thing that separates Zach Wilson and Justin Fields is the running ability.
The difference with Zach Wilson is Zach Wilson does not have a locker room around him. Zach Wilson does not know how to speak to the media about his team. He doesn't know how to take criticism well. He doesn't know how to say, yeah, hey, I messed up. I'm the reason why we lost today. He puts the blame on other people. He's very I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but he's all about himself. Yeah, and when you look at his play on the field, his decision-making is much worse than Justin Fields. His playing ability is much worse than Justin Fields. And I would say that Zach Wilson has better pieces surrounding him than Justin Fields.
Oh, he definitely does that. Garrett 100%. Wilson should,
Yeah. I would say if you put Fields on the Jets would flourish. But if you take Wilson and you put him onto the Browns, or not the Browns, the Bears are still going to suck. That's the difference between the two. I will say that after this next season, if Fields does not do a Jalen Hurts type of turnaround, that's it. 100%.
Especially with Caleb Williams coming out of the draft and Drake May. Next year's draft class is loaded at quarterback.
But I have to say this, not the downfall, because the Bears have been down there for a little bit now, but the season ending with only 3 wins is not solely on Justin Fields at all. So you can't put all the blame on him, and coming out and saying, yeah, I'm not 100% sold on this guy that I just drafted 2 years ago. It just doesn't make sense, in my opinion. I think as a GM, you need to instill confidence in your quarterback to be able to see positive results, rather than saying, yeah, you're done, by the way. I don't trust you 100% as my quarterback, so you're gone. But I don't know, maybe that was like a mind game kind of thing that they're trying to do, be like, hey, we're not 100% on you. You need to show us something.
Yeah.
And sparks a fire, and he's like, man, I have got to figure out this passing game and get out there and do like a complete 180 and show them that I'm actually like deserve this position.
Yeah. And I love Justin Fields. He was one of my favorite quarterbacks coming out of high school, and not only high school, but college. He does have to make that, what you said, that Jalen Hurts that turnaround. And someone said, fingers crossed, Bears do something with D-Hop. That could be something. They got
Look,
Chase
if
Claypool and D-Hop, and then they got Justin Fields. That could help them out a lot. So,
if they get D-Hop and Fields can't do anything with that, bye-bye. I mean,
see,
adios.
adios. With the number one pick with the
They're probably going to trade down.
yeah, if they don't trade down, I think they're going to go with the defensive player. Maybe Will Anderson, maybe because they got rid of Wilquan Smith, so linebacker Will Anderson, best linebacker, and some say the best player in the draft. They could go defensive line with Jalen Carter. I think but ultimately I think they go defense, even though they should go offensive line. I don't think there's any offensive lineman in this draft that's worthy of a top 5 pick. Maybe top 10, yes. So they could trade back, get maybe Pierre Lewis from Ohio State, the tackle, who's projected to go from 10 to 15 range.
The Colts need Max Duggan.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not. I don't. If the Colts get Max Duggan,
Yeah.
Colts-ish. Yeah. We'll go with it. Colts, Max Duggan,
or Will Levis.
Will Levis, Stetson Bennett, or Max Duggan are going to be a Colt.
Those sound like Colts quarterbacks right there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's kind of think the Bears are the Bears get D-Hop. That is, and Fields does nothing with that. Then
yeah, but it's a wrap at that point.
See ya.
There's nothing more I could say to, be like, hey, no, you got to give him another chance. I mean, you had D-Hop. What more do you want? I mean, that's it. That's a wrap for the guy.
So we look at the playoffs, right? The playoffs are officially set. I pull this up here. The playoffs, we have the Patriots, the Bills versus the Dolphins, Bengals, Ravens, and we're going to start with the AFC, and then Chargers and Jaguars, and then obviously Kansas City's got their first round bye. Of these 3 wild card games, which one do you think is going to be the closest, and why?
I think the Chargers and the Jaguars is going to be a lot closer than people think, and I actually have the Jaguars beating out the Chargers. Trevor Lawrence, I believe, is second in completion percentage?
Yeah.
I think it's completion percentage. And then Joe Burrow's first. I mean, he has absolutely turned it around. The end of this season has been phenomenal for the Jaguars. I know they struggled a little bit against the Titans, but, I mean, they've beat some good teams. They played some really good football. And I don't think the Chargers have it all figured out just yet. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think it's going to be decided by like a field goal or something. So I've got the Jaguars. I think it's going to be a great game.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Justin Herbert, who is a phenomenal quarterback, and then you have Trevor Lawrence, who has just flourished this season.
Is looking great.
I mean, he is on pace to become one of the best quarterbacks in the game.
Yeah.
So I think those two going head-to-head is just going to be an offensive just onslaught, and it's going to be great. Yeah. That's one of the games I'm extremely excited to watch, but I think the Jaguars are going to edge out.
Yeah. Before we go into someone said Bengals Ravens. We'll talk about the Bengals or Ravens, but let's stick with the Chargers and the Jags here. I agree with you. I think the Jags got this. I think that a lot of people are counting them out. And while I do love Justin Herbert, and we have kind of been that voice for them, for him, sticking up for him when people were calling him social media quarterback and all that, I think that the overall teams, I think Jaguars have a better team.
Yes.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence has 4,100 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. And versus the AFC, which obviously the AFC playoff picture, he has a 71% completion percentage, which is the highest in the NFL. In his last 5 games, he was 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The Jags are 10th in points per game, and their defense is 12th in leagues per points per game. So their defense is, is up there as far as only allowing 20 points per game. Compared to the Chargers, are the 13th points per game, so they're pretty close in there. But they're 30th in rushing yards per game. They average 6.7 yards per pass, and they're 23rd in the they're 23rd in the league for that. And they average 3.8 rushing yards per rushing attempt. So they don't have a running game. They have a short passing game. Mike Williams has a hurt back who he's projected to play in the wild card round, but he's already injured. Keenan Allen has an injury history. Austin Eckler's having a down year.
Plus, the Chargers head coach needs to go.
Yeah, and
that man has no idea what he's doing. He has such a great team, and he just keeps fumbling it
Yeah.
every single time they need to win a game. They fumble it, and it's because of him.
Yeah.
100%. Last season was all on him. 100%.
Yeah. And so that's why I think the Jags and there's a lot of people are saying the Chargers are gonna mollywop the Jags, but I just don't see. I honestly, again, like you said, and we agreed on this, the Jags are probably gonna win this. And I think we said on the last episode the Jags were our dark horse for the AFC. A team that could sneak up on, and we know the Bengals, the Chiefs, and the Bills are the top 3 teams in the AFC. It's pretty much locked. But don't sleep on the Jaguars.
Yeah. And the Bills have been known to lose out to this season. I think they lost to the Jets. They lost to what's another team that was like, oh, that's an easy win, and then they just collapsed. Man,
You said the Bills?
the Jets was the biggest one though, because the Bills should beat the Jets, and the Jets beat them. I'm trying to remember who it was. Maybe it was the Packers. Can't remember who they lost to, but there was a few games this season where the Bills should have won out, and they just didn't, and they couldn't come up with anything.
They barely beat the Colts.
Yep.
They lost to the Panthers 21-0.
There you go.
They barely beat, or the Dolphins beat them the first time. And the Jets did beat them. So those are the 3 big losses that they have.
Yeah, so you beat if you're the Bills, you beat the Panthers. If you're the Bills, you beat the Jets. I mean, it's just these big games where it's like the Bills should be favored, they lose. So if somehow the Bills face the Jaguars, if that comes down to a potential game, I'm taking the Jaguars.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
I'm taking the Jaguars.
No, write it on paper. If the
if
Jaguars beat the Chargers and move on to play the Bills, Taylor does not get a switch up next week. He has already picked the Jaguars.
Now, if the Jaguars go up against the Chiefs all day. Chiefs are just a solid team.
The Chiefs are a solid team, but I don't think – I think that the Bills – the difference between the Bills and the Chiefs is not that great. I think the Bills could not put a beating on the Chiefs, but
the Chiefs have yet to lose a game since week 4, I believe.
Yeah,
I think it was week 4 they lost the game, and then ever since then, they've just been on a roll, and they've been phenomenal. The Bills are up and down, up and down, up and down, and then I can't figure out the Bills. The Bills are a great team, but the connection between Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs has seemed to be like fractured a little bit. Like if you see these games where they do lose, Diggs is just irritated, and then he has to get talked down, like hey, calm down. And then you look at his stats, and he got targeted like 3 times. If that's your number 1 wide receiver, he needs like 6 minimum, in my opinion. If he's getting 2 to 3 hits a game, something's wrong. I don't know what it is, but something is wrong. And I could see the Jaguars beating the Bills because there is some type of friction between the two. I don't know what it is, but they just don't seem completely solid. But the Chiefs seem like they figured it out, so I have no doubt that the Chiefs went out whoever they
Chat is not happy with your pick of
Corey's happy about it.
Corey's happy about it. Corey
Corey's
says
happy
Jags
about
over Bills. And they said, to who, Taylor? To who?
Look, all I'm saying is if you're a Colts fan, you don't need to be talking right now. I'm just kidding. Duval. Yeah. And also you have to take into account this season, there hasn't been anything normal about this season at all. I mean, there is nothing you can say about this season that's like, yep, that's what we thought was going to happen. Not a single thing.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and then to move on to the next game, someone brought up the Bengals-Ravens. If Lamar plays, the Ravens will put up a fight. But I don't see it. The Bengals, Joe Burrow, they have a better receiving core. They have a better defense. Running backs, some people, Joe Mixon's a solid running back. I would say Joe Mixon's probably better than what the Ravens have on their roster, unless you consider Lamar Jackson a running back. But Lamar is not going to be 100% healthy coming back for the wild card round.
No.
So I don't think that's going to be a close game. I think that the Bengals have that one.
Yeah, 100%. Whether Lamar plays or not, the Bengals are going to take that. They've just like the Chiefs. The Bengals kind of had a little bit of a rocky start at the beginning of the season, but they figured it out. And Joe Burrow is that guy. They have the.
You're not that guy.
You're not that guy, pal. And they got probably the best wide receiver core in the NFL right now. I mean, you've got T. Higgins, you got Boyd, and then you got Chase. And then you have Mixon in the backfield. I mean, come on. And Joe Burrow, this quarterback, that's a wrap. And I think
it is a divisional game, and divisional games.
It is
like,
true.
Not like it's not the divisional round, but it's a interconference
divisional game. So. It can go either way, but it is what it is. But I think the Bengals have. I knew the Rams sucked, but we have a championship ring, so we're still defending champs this year. It is what it is. We got that bling.
Well, you're not really defending it well because they're not in the playoffs, but, you're the champ.
Didn't say we were defending it well, but we are the defending champs. Not defending it well, but we still got the
Let's just put it this way. If this was a war and you were a great country, you'd be France. You waved the white flag this year. You handed over the ring for free.
We absolutely did. Yeah, and I'm not even going to come up with any type of excuses. I mean, there's plenty to come up with, but we just sucked this year, straight up. The Rams just came out and tripped and stayed down the entire season. So, but we do have hardware. We won a ring. That's all that matters. So,
yeah, Taylor can die happy now.
Yep.
The Bills and the Dolphins. I know that they have Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. To me, Tua has hit his ceiling. What? Yep. You've seen from Tua, you've seen great flashes.
He hit that ceiling hard with his head, too.
He hit that ceiling so hard, my man got up wobbling. I think he's a decent quarterback, but he is kind of stuck at where he's at as far as talent goes. He does not have the talent to elevate his team past the Bills. So I'm going Bills, easy peasy.
Yeah, I've got the Bills over the Dolphins. I don't know, Tua. I think the Tua experiment is coming to an end. Unfortunately for him. And I also think that this offseason, Tua needs to take a hard look at his future. He needs to figure out, does he want to keep playing football and potentially not be able to think for the rest of his life? Mm-hmm. Or maybe call it quits, going to coaching or going to the broadcast booth or something. But he needs to take a hard look after this season.
It's dangerous, man.
The Rams suck.
I mean, he has taken some hits.
Why are Colts fans talking right now? You hired somebody who's never coached a day in their life.
Yeah.
And you have Matt Ryan.
Before we go into the rest of the games on the NFC side for the wild card round, breaking news: 4-star safety Jordan Johnson-Rubel is 2024 top 5 safety in the 2024 class. Just releases top 12. The top 12 is Colorado, Ole Miss, Oregon, Texas, Oklahoma. Now Taylor's happy about that. FSU, Wisconsin, Penn State, TCU, USC, Arizona State, and Alabama. So
unfortunately for me, OU's out of that picture. He's going to Colorado. You heard it here first.
I think he's going to DeVry University. Okay. University of Phoenix.
Coastal Carolina Community College. Here I come.
All right. Going on to the NFC playoff picture. Obviously, we have the Seahawks versus the 49ers, which I think is going to be closer than a lot of people think. We can debate that in a second. But and then we have the Vikings and Giants, and then we have and the Cowboys and Tampa. The NFC is more of a toss-up than the AFC is. The AFC has a couple locks that you're going to watch the game because you love football, but you already know who's going to win. The NFC is like, all right, you're winning this week. Drawing a name out of a hat. For the NFC side. And I know Taylor's going to say the Seahawks cannot handle the 49ers, but listen to me when I say this. I love Brock Purdy, but that inexperience concerns me, and it is a divisional opponent. And we've seen the time where, hey, maybe the 49ers are the better team, but it is divisional, and Geno Smith has been playing lights out. It could happen. And do not sleep. Do not shoot the messenger when I pick the Seahawks to win.
What happened to the Seahawks when they played the 49ers this season?
Okay, well, look what the Chiefs did when they played the Colts. They lost. I mean, it's any given Sunday, sir.
Nah, the Seahawks will lose, and the 49ers will run all over them. That is end of the discussion. You can't convince me otherwise. And to the chat, real quick, Jeff Saturday is a great Colt. 1,000% yes, he is a Colt legend.
A horrible
And
coach.
Jeff is not bad for the Colts. He won one game as the head coach of the Colts. He is terrible for the Colts. Anybody who says otherwise, I I got nothing for you. You won one more game than us. Well, so we were better this year. Say we suck. We got one more game than y'all and a ring. 49ers will win big. I agree.
So you're taking the 49ers. Listen, we talked about Brock Purdy. It comes down to Brock Purdy. Can you agree with at least? Look at that. We got
Yes,
a ghost in here
it will
stuff
come.
out.
It will come down to Brock Purdy and how he performs because this is his first time in the playoffs. And I will say that yes, I agree. If Purdy does not produce as he has the past like 5 games or 6, 7, however many he's been playing, 100% the 49ers will lose. But I think Purdy is poised to come out there and play like he has been. He's got
The man is a movie. The man is a walking movie.
100%. He's got a lot of pieces that are surrounding him that are confident in him. I mean, you've got Kittle, who is seemingly his best friend now. Every single interview you see, it's like, hey, Kittle, you really put on a great performance. You seem like you were the guy out there that really got you guys a win. He immediately shuts it down and says, that is not the case. 100% not the case. The reason why we won this game is because our quarterback, he came out here. He's our third string quarterback. We had 2 injuries. He still came in, with a will to win, and he has just been playing phenomenally. He's the reason we won this game. So he's got that confidence around him from his teammates. I just think that's going to carry them a long way. I think they are a threat, and I don't think anybody needs to look at them as anything less than that.
I agree that they are a threat. I'm just saying, if like the Seahawks, I know if the Seahawks somehow win, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh man, did not see that one coming." I'm saying I could potentially see it coming due to the inexperience, and just it's a divisional game. Like if the Eagles were playing the Cowboys round 1 of the wild card, I'm throwing a hat up. I think the Eagles are ultimately a better team, especially with Jalen Hurts at quarterback. But I'm throwing my hat up on that. So anytime you see a divisional game, you just never know.
The difference there is the Cowboys aren't a trash team. Cowboys are good. It sucks to say, but the Cowboys are good.
They are good.
We can all agree that, and it's not Dak's reasoning for that.
No, it's not.
But the Cowboys
definitely not.
But the Cowboys are a good team, and the Eagles are a good team. So yes, you could throw your hat up and be like, I don't know who's going to win that.
The Seahawks are a good team.
But you have the
best team.
The Seahawks are TCU.
The Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl.
Seahawks are TCU.
So you're saying they're going to the Super Bowl?
Guys.
No, listen.
Look, he put it here.
Listen, you're saying if the Seahawks are equivalent to TCU and the TCU made the national championship game, which is the biggest game in college football, then that means the Seahawks, who are you just said the equivalent of TCU, are making it to the Super Bowl.
Frauds. I'm saying the Seahawks are frauds. They got into the playoffs because the Lions beat the Packers. They didn't make the playoffs because they are a good team. They made it because it was chance. It was the Lions beat the Packers.
Hey, man, any given Sunday, Trent Dilfer led the Ravens to the Super Bowl.
They went into overtime against the Rams this year. Okay, the Rams.
And the Chiefs lost to the Colts. I'm going to keep bringing that up.
At the beginning of the season. At the beginning of the season.
Okay, the Colts sucked at the beginning of the season, middle of the season, and the end of the season.
So are you saying that you would put the Chiefs up against the Colts right now and you would say, I don't know who's going to win that one?
Exactly.
Would you say that right now? Come on now.
I'm sticking my ground here.
Put Cooper Rush in. Actually, don't. Yeah. If you put Cooper Rush in, Eagles are out. I'm sorry. That's just it,
All
it's
right.
a completely different team.
Speaking of the Cowboys, this is our game of the wild card week for the NFC. Who you got, the Cowboys or Tampa Bay? Let me know.
All right, so if we're going off of a emotion-driven decision, I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If we are going off of a straight-up factual-based decision, the Cowboys are going to win that one. Unfortunately, I would love to see that. Look, I don't hate Tom Brady as much as I used to, but I still hate him. But I hate the Cowboys more. So, whoever wins this game, I don't want either team to win. I hope it ends in a tie somehow. I don't know if that's even possible. I don't
Not
think it is.
is not
But I hope,
possible in playoffs.
but I hope it does. Somehow I hope it ends in a tie, and they're just like, oh, sorry guys, you're both out. But in this case, I would rather see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Cowboys, move on, because I don't think they're going to go far, and I think the Eagles would destroy the Buccaneers. But the Cowboys, I'm just going to go with the Cowboys because that's just a factual decision. It's a safe bet. Emotionally, I'm going Buccaneers.
All right, and I agree. Emotionally, Buccaneers. What's going to happen? Cowboys. I mean, the Cowboys are 27th points per, or they're fourth in points per game. They average 27 points per game, which is that's a lot of points. They're scoring a lot of points. Unfortunately for them, Dak is throwing a lot of interceptions. So, what's changed from Dak is a good quarterback in years prior to now is Dak is trying to play Superman, and he has never, he has he has never been the Superman kind of quarterback. He's always been the game manager, the one that is not going to make a lot of mistakes and help you win. However, what am I missing here?
I'm reading the chat. I believe it's your dad said you're out of the will.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I saw that.
I'm sorry.
Hey, man. If I'm out of the will, at least I'm not a Colts fan at the end of the day. So. Listen. All right. And that's just the way it is. But, yeah, the Cowboys are putting up a lot of points, and they're dependent on that run game. CeeDee Lamb is playing phenomenal, but Dak Prescott is not because he's trying to do too much. And that could hurt them against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is not a great team by any means. And Corey's point in the comments is asking if it's Tom's last game. It's not Tom's last game. No. He's already said he wants to play for like 5 more years. So
he's got at least 4 more years as long as he doesn't get injured.
Last game with the Buccaneers? Maybe. Probably. I think Tom's probably done with the Buccaneers. Could go to the silver and black in Las Vegas. Who knows? But, yeah, I think that the Cowboys are going to win this. I think they're just a better overall team. Tom Brady in the playoffs, though, that's dangerous. That is a dangerous thing. And the Cowboys have never beaten Tom Brady. So that's also another stat. So,
yeah, Tom Brady in the playoffs is a completely different animal. And plus, you also have the Cowboys, or Tom Brady's never lost to the Cowboys. I mean, Tom Brady knows how to get into a different gear when it comes to the playoffs. I don't know how he does it, but he does. I mean, he did it last year. He almost went to the Super Bowl, straight up. He almost went because he almost knocked the Rams out. But, yeah, I do think that it will be the Cowboys, unfortunately.
Yeah, especially so Tampa Bay is dead last in average yards per rushing yards per game. They're 6th in passing offense, which is better. And they just have an average defense. So again, I think not Tampa, but the Dallas Cowboys are going to be too much for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I think the Cowboys move on, which would be the Cowboys versus the Eagles in the divisional round. So,
which will be fun. I don't know who Christina is, but they're becoming one of my favorite viewers right now. The cheerleaders are better than the Cowboys themselves. So
I like it.
Becoming one of my favorites in the chat right now.
Yeah. So that's our wild card predictions. If you guys need a review of that, we'll just go down the list. I'll ask Taylor. Taylor, Bills or Dolphins?
Did we talk about the Vikings and Giants?
We did not. We kind of said, we did not actually talk about them at all. We could
slide by it. We could. I mean, it's not really like a game that anybody's like, I gotta watch that one.
Yeah, I'm taking the Vikings, and I'm taking the Vikings.
Yeah,
I'm taking the
Vikings.
All right, so and then Ravens, Bengals. You have
the Bengals.
We're just doing a recap, guys. We both got the Jaguars. NFC side, you have 49ers or Seahawks.
49ers.
All right, I'm going Seahawks as my upset. And the bet's over, guys. We'll get to that in a second. But the bet is gone. Taylor, were you able to access what we had previously? Okay.
Nope.
Well, we'll get you the conclusion of that bet on the next episode. Or eventually.
I'm getting a new computer here soon, so I should be able to access it.
All right. And then we have the Vikings over the Giants, and then the Cowboys over the Buccaneers. Right?
Yeah. Yep. Aaron, it's going to be fun for me because I'm not a fan of the Eagles or the Cowboys, but for an Eagles fan, it's going to be It's going to be a sweaty game, and for Cowboys fans, it will be the same because that's
that's a good game.
Yeah. But for me, as a fan of football, I'm going to enjoy that one. But I am rooting for. I just want to say this for everybody watching, for the remainder of the season, playoffs and Super Bowl included. I am rooting for the Eagles because of Brandon. So let's go Eagles, fly for the remainder of the season.
And while we don't have the bets from the following weeks, and if you guys don't know, if you guys are new to the channel, we made a bet at the beginning of the season. Whoever had the better predictions will have to wear their college team's rival on the following episode. So whenever we get that prediction, I'll have to get a Georgia Bulldogs gear, rather it be just like a hat or a shirt. Get that ordered up and then wear it for the following episode. Taylor will have to do Texas. And we'll take a picture in it and post it to social media. Unfortunately. So for last week, we're go through the splits here. So Dolphins Jets games. You had the Dolphins, I had the Jets. You won that one, so that's a W for that one. The extra point for that for you. Saints Panthers. What was the score of that one? Panthers won. I took the Panthers. You took the Saints. So that's a W for me. We're 1-1 here. Rams versus Seahawks. You chose the Rams. I chose the Seahawks. Pretty sure the Seahawks won that one.
They did.
Yeah, so I got the dub there. And then the Packers-Lions. The Packers won that one, right? No, the Lions won that one.
No, Lions won that one.
So I got 3 dubs. Out of those 4 splits that we had, you had 1. So we do have that. So I got 4 games there. So I don't know how much I was down before. Hopefully I caught up there with that
Hopefully
week 18. That week 18 bet pool there. For sure. Let's go Eagles. Obviously, as an Eagles fan, flag was fly. It's gonna be a tougher. The NFC's gonna be tougher in the playoffs. Simple as that.
Absolutely.
All right, Taylor. Do you want to go ahead and do the reminder to subscribe and all that?
Yeah, even though you just did it. But everybody, make sure you hit that follow button on the YouTube page you're on right now so you can get live notifications when we go live and when we post new videos. We are live every single Tuesday at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you subscribe to the Spotify, so if you're on the go and you still want to listen to us, you want to get the updated information or listen to who we're interviewing, make sure you go ahead and go follow that. We also have a TikTok and Twitter page, so make sure you go follow that. We're active on all platforms, and we'd like to hear from you guys in the DMs or in the comments section. If you guys want us to talk about something next show, put it in there and we'll bring it up. But,
and we do have an interview. We do have an interview next week. So Maryland player that we do not know the name of because we have to hit up our friend Darren. But we will have a Maryland football player on the show next week. So
we got
all
that.
Right.
Thank you everybody for coming out and